Hello everybody, it's City Mad Haven here today, and whenever I woke up, I decided to give Slapperfish a call and talk for a minute. To find out, they buffed the E50. I knew that this was coming for a while, just I didn't expect them to execute it so poorly. You know, I'm not saying poorly to, you know, diss on the devs or anything. It's probably just an oversight, didn't think about it. But then again, it's a buff I've been waiting for a long time, and I kind of wanted to see it brought into the game fully implemented, like with the PC standard and all. But yeah, not this. This was definitely not as what I was expecting. My hands are, is that blood? Oh, that is blood. Oh, careful guys. There's stuff that'll cut you. But okay, I will deal with this afterwards. Good cut. Yeah, decent cut. A little bit of blood on the side. Nothing too crazy, I'm fine. But okay, as you can see, garage lineup. I didn't play yesterday because I knew that other things were going to be going on. Yada 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 yada. Lots of fun stuff. Okay, E50. Tier 9. Let's take a look here. So let's go armor viewer. This is the tier 9. They also did update this one as well. Dude, I got so many freaking... Oh my god, the inside of my finger. Oh! It's cold. It's really cold. And I had to tear down AC units. So yeah, it did not go well. And my... Yeah. Yep, that's where we are. I'm also 99% sure the game audio is super quiet too. Okay, but it, you know what? What I'm getting to is that they have this standard of somehow buffing something, but not really buffing it. For example, the side armor here is still 80 millimeters, and the example I can give you guys from here, you know, I hate their website so much. You literally tap your scroll wheel one time and it skips like 9 segments. It's obnoxious. Okay, but 185 to 230. Okay, not too bad. However, heat rounds are still going to go through it. Blah, 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 blah. They took away my favorite gun off this tank, the 75 millimeter. You have no much, like, it was fun pulling out this gun on the E50 and just spraying because you could. It was fantastic. Not just that, they also increased the alpha, the 88, increased the reload, so from 6.6 to 7.3. Honestly, I don't know why they increased the alpha and increased the reload. I would rather leave it at 240 the way it was, because I actually like the 88. The 88 is actually my main... I click all the wrong buttons. I click all the wrong buttons. I do it all the time. Okay, keep in mind, I just logged in. I played this tank yesterday. What gun do I have equipped? I have the faster fire rate gun on this tank, specifically because module damage. I was able to hit stuff, track it, keep it perma-tracked with a 4.6 base reload. Well, not base, but, you know, with all my buffs, everything else, gun rammer, and just lock people down all the time. Plus, if I had that shot going through, now I have a longer reload, which should still be under 6 seconds, which is the increased repair time. But coming back, E50, they jumped up to 200 millimeters. The biggest problem about this is the fact that this is the E50M. Okay, this is what we're going to be looking at right now. We're going to go live. Okay, we're going to bring this up. E50M is a perfect example. Absolutely perfect. I don't even need to change the tank. Let's go ahead and load 330 millimeters of penetration. Now, the E50 has 150 millimeters of side turret armor on it, okay? We still have 80. The disadvantage of having 80, let's revert this update down to, let's say, 1.5. 1.5 would be a very decent one to jump it down to. Still against heat rounds right here. Okay, look at that. 80 millimeters, it's green, it's gonna pin. Okay, and even with the buffed turret armor going back, okay, it's still gonna pin at 250, which means that the only thing they did was give us a little bit of a bump up and not really give us anything to have a super advantage. Another thing I can do is compare this to, let's say, Probably one of my most played tier 8s, which would be the Crevettes. It's not on PC, but the base penetration is there. Save. We're going to load in the heat round. It's red. So against 270 heat pin, against tier 8s, it's going to bounce. The thing is, against a tier 10 heat round with 330 pin, with the updated version, it's going to bounce. But with the regular version, as I'm struggling to do stuff now, and just, I'm a Muppet, okay, guys? Don't worry about it. I'm an absolute Muppet. And yeah, absolute Muppet. I had to pause the video there for a sec. I clicked the wrong stuff. Yeah, just don't worry about it. It is what it is. But the thing is since they did not buff this to 150, this tank will not see a single difference in combat. If you were looking to grind this tank out because it got a buff, I'm telling you now, nothing is different. The only thing they did was increase the reload of one gun, take away a gun, which honestly, it's a 75mm that was really fun to pull out occasionally, just because it was 2.6 second reload and just a blast to use. And since they just, in my opinion, this wasn't well thought out. It wasn't well thought out at all. And yeah, the only thing I can really do is take the tank into a match and hope that it goes decent, I guess. Because the E50 and the E50M, they're in the same boat. However, one thing I do like, the Panther 2 and the Panther 1, the Alpha for the 75mm one from 135 to 150 with its base shots, so that's actually a pretty decent upgrade right there. But E50 overall, it's just really, really sad to see that they did it this way when there's multiple other ways to do it. But this one, in my opinion, there's no difference for the tank. It's going to end up in the same scenarios. Nothing's going to change. Heat rounds are still going to go through your face. That will not change. Now, I'm sorry if the match is horrid, but, you know, hey, it is what it is. And, yeah. Alright, here we go. First match of the day. First match, actually, in 2 days. And it's on one of the newer maps that they brought back. Speaking of which, if you guys didn't know, they removed Cold War maps from World War II matchmaking. And I'm absolutely excited about that. Just because those maps, I've said it before, they are unbalanced due to view range. View range is the entire reason why those maps are not balanced. They're made specifically for true vision, not with a view range mechanic. A view range mechanic is kind of what took away from it a tad bit, and yeah, just absolute, just not balanced. Okay, other than that, DPM kind of went through the roof a little bit on the E50. What was the reload? I actually didn't get to see that. 5.3 from 4.6 for a 40 alpha. That's probably not too bad. But they're taking away from a lot of stuff that we could have had instead. But since the side plates in the front, they're not the 120 that they are in PC, or I think it's 130 to 120. But 340 millimeters of heat pin cannot go through it. And it's in the range of like 497 millimeters thick on the E50 and like 567 on the E50M. But with this one, it's still 80, which means it's still 280 millimeters to 317 millimeters of armor. So you're still going to be finding yourself at a massive disadvantage. Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. Just, sure, you can buff the turret armor all you want, but if you don't buff the spots that are still going to be pinned, because the second you load heat, the turret's still useless. However, these side plates, they are usable against, let's say, standard rounds, because it's an auto ricochet angle. These will auto ricochet. More than likely right now I'm in a very bad spot and probably going to get absolutely shredded very soon, but with the 280 alpha and the 5.3 second reload, this actually might not be too bad. Overall, its DPM is definitely going to be increased because of that, but against heat rounds, you're going to find yourself struggling a lot. Now, I don't know if module damage was increased or not. That would be something really nice to know. So more than likely, I will check that out before I jump off completely. But right now, we know we can still permatrack. We're definitely permatracking the E100. So since they still have it under that 6 seconds, that's actually going to be really nice. There we go. And maybe the module damage is jumped up. Kind of seems like it just might be. But right now, this guy's not exactly too happy. And, yep, that is through... I actually don't see a single mark on my tank. I don't know where that went through. But with 280, yeah, you should be able to take on anybody with this alpha. And there we go, stockade coming up behind, so that's an autoloader. That's an autoloader. That's an autoloader. Oh my god, I'm gonna die. Oh. And there we go. Don't ram an E50. These things weigh a lot. But, yeah. I don't really see the point to this buff. If we can even call it a buff, really. Because in my opinion, this isn't much of a buff. This is more of a... kind of just... thrown together without really thinking about it. Not a bad match though. 3,300 damage and 741 assisted. I'm not gonna, you know, watch the rest of this game just because I wanted to pull it out and see what it was like. And I can definitely say that with the alpha increase, that actually, it wasn't too bad. That wasn't too bad at all. But going back at it, they buff the wrong part of the tank. Even the E50M that I'm going to be pulling out next, the fact that this thing still doesn't have... Actually, I have a better crew. Wait, no. I think it's in the... Yeah, it is. Okay. But even though they increased the turret armor, they didn't increase the side cheeks. Honestly, rather than increasing the frontal turret armor, I would have rather seen the side cheeks get buffed up, because that's the side scraping capability of this tank. It should be able to side scrape. Problem is, if you side scrape and keep your turret straight, they're gonna pin your cheek every single time. I have a video on my channel from, I would say, during the era of 6.0, where premium rounds were able to pin up to 400 millimeters of armor with only 340 millimeters of base penetration. Yeah, you know, let's just forget that ever happened. We can just pretend that update 6.0 never existed. It's kind of gone, you know, so I'm just going to pretend like it never existed. 7.1, however, pretty good job on the RNG changes, bringing them back. By the way, this cut hurts like no other. It's a decent split in 2 spots, not just one. I realized that there was a second one just a moment ago. I poked it. Yeah, okay. Monologuing by this point, but wait, the whole map just changed? The colors just change? Okay, you know what? I'm gonna have to rewatch this. That was weird. But, yeah. You guys, you will not notice a single difference inside this tank. At all. The second they load premium, you're gonna not notice a single difference. This thing is still gonna get pinned left and right. It does not matter. Along with that, there wasn't really much of a reload buff on the primary gun here. You know, it's still got a really good base reload at 7.2. And they did nothing to this tank, basically. The armor buff, they can say they buffed the armor, but in all reality, that's not a buff. 230 millimeters is not a buff, because the side panels are still weak. Those are still exposed, and right there, we get pinned in the side. Because, you know, E50 logic, there is no such thing as side scraping in this tank. Even though it's 80 millimeters. But I've said but a lot and a lot, because I'm literally just making this the moment I get home. I took a shower, I got ready, I want to kick back, enjoy my time, and to find out a tank that I've been super excited for to get a buff is not buffed. And there we go, we're getting hit with premium rounds right away from a Progetto 66. You aim for the lower plate. You could have went through my top plate or even my turret. But yeah, no, it's just not that bright. I know I sound negative by this point, but hey, I'm not positive, and I probably never will be positive. 705 getting up behind, kind of wondering where the team is. I pushed up right here to be able to handle this, and yeah, I'm not gonna be able to handle this too well. Kind of hoping for the team to be able to push up a little bit. But overall, the buff they did to the E50 and the E50M, not enough. Not enough in the slightest. The armor changes, literally nothing changed. Standard rounds are still going to bounce off your cheeks. However, you're going to get pinned quite a bit. There's a standard round. You know, we're going to be able to bounce a standard round consistently because of how the angles are if you're auto-locking. But whenever it comes down to it, the second he loads premium, those cheeks are not going to be able to defend against a single premium round because they're still 80. But who knows? Maybe the front plate at 200 and, 230 where they put it at could be a decent amount. And there we go, a shot straight through the front, and it was with a, you know what, I actually don't know what that was with. Depending on the sound, if it sounds like a hit and it made a ding sound, that is a AP, or if it hits and it sounds like an explosive, that is a heat round. So if you guys didn't know that difference, that is the difference. There's a sound that you can listen to. I don't exactly have headphones on, so I have no idea what hit me. Aha, Muppetry. But no, they didn't buff this thing right. Nothing's different. If you guys are looking to grind this, I'm sorry, it's not buff. The E50 though, tier for tier, that's probably the better one to stick with. Even though it doesn't have the heat rounds at 330 that the E50 does, it still has 270 or 263 depending if you run with the long 88 or if you run with the 105. I prefer the long 88 just because of the rate of fire. And now, since they buffed the alpha and there's not really that big of a difference in the reload, that thing's gonna be pretty monstrous. In all honesty, that thing's gonna be really nasty. I got 581 hit points and I'm gonna use it to ram this guy. So, yeah. Lots of fun. So if you guys have your opinion and you want to share it, go right ahead. I have absolutely no problem with that. You know, if you guys want to say anything, be my guest. Also with that RAM, E50, E50M, they weigh a crap ton. We only took like 20 damage from that RAM. So yeah, you want to take an 80-ton tank, 90-ton tank out to go ram somebody with, this is probably the tank to do it with. But more than likely, I'm going to be sending in my opinion to Wargaming and telling them, hey, this buff, I don't see the value in it just because you buffed the wrong spot. You buffed the wrong area of the tank. I would have left the turret armor the way it was and buffed the side cheeks because that would have made the biggest difference right then and there. Rather than just buffing one spot and thinking to yourself, no one's going to think about this too heavily. We're wargaming. Our content creators aren't going to sit here and call us out on our crap. No, I'll call you out on your crap. I will not hesitate. I also want to be a CC. And the reason why I want to be a CC is so I can get in the super testing. Okay, I'm struggling to get that going. Don't get me wrong. Minto, good guy. No problem. He's not looking to introduce any more CCs at the moment. You know, right now, even there's a couple spots open. He's busy. I understand that. So guess what? I haven't mentioned it. I occasionally send something to him that's just funny because I can. But if we don't have the right people in super testing, and don't get me wrong, I'm not dissing on anybody. No one. I'm not dissing on a single person. But whenever it comes down to it, if we don't have the correct super testing and the right ideas, and you don't have the dev team or the development team listening to content creators or listening to the people who actually care about balanced matchmaking or anything else that's going on, you're going to struggle with it a lot just because you're going to put something out and it's literally not going to change a thing. At this moment, the E50 and the E50M, you're going to notice a difference in the E50 with that 280 alpha with its 88 millimeter. But whenever it comes down to it, you will not notice a single difference whenever it comes down to the E50M. By that point, the E50M won't even feel like much of an upgrade just because you're going to be hitting so hard in the E50 that there's almost no difference between both the tanks. The E50's got multiple gun choice. It lacks a heat round. We know it lacks 330 heat, so in reality, E50 would be a better one to stay with just because you have a chance to avoid tier 10, to avoid all that 340 heat pin, or to go up against tier 7s and have better matchmaking to begin with. So, my opinion, this buff was lazy. Same thing about the T32. It still hasn't been fixed. It still hasn't been reverted. I had faith in the dev team. Had faith. Had. Very specific word. Had. Okay, but every single time they do something, they're not going back. They're not fixing stuff. The version 5 is still ridiculous to go up against. The E4, I struggle to pin it now because I'm hesitant to fire heat at it whenever I shouldn't be hesitant to fire heat at anything. But I see an E4 and I'm all like, I'm going to bounce off the hatch now. I'm going to bounce off its cheek now. So, yeah, just a little bit off and hoping that they get their crap together. Very specific words. Get your crap together, Wargaming. Or you're going to be losing a lot more than just me. Because I'm building a brand new gaming computer and I have no problem switching over to PC at all. Okay? So to give you guys an idea, I have 293 gold. When was the last time you guys saw an outrageous amount of gold on my channel? Okay? Better question yet, when was the last time I synced more than $20 into the game? I haven't been spending any money on this game because the devs are just not listening to the player base. Don't get me wrong, as of recent, Cold War maps are gone. They listen to the player base in that one. The E50 gets a buff, however, it's not the buff that it needed. The E4 gets a buff, however, it was not needed. The version 5 gets a buff, it wasn't needed. The E50 alone just... You know what? I don't know. I'm to that point where I'm kind of stuck. Don't get me wrong, I'll never leave. I'm stuck here no matter what. Just because even if I get a gaming computer, it's not like I'm going to play tanks all day. There's lots of games that are out on that. It's October, for crying out loud. I'm going to be it's all about the, horror games, horror movies by this point, setting up Halloween decorations. We already set them up. It's like 4 items, but hey, it is what it is. But it just sucks whenever I log on and I hear a tank that I've been wanting to play. There's a reason why these 2 tanks are in my garage, why I still have the tier 9, because I enjoy the E50. All right, I'm one of the players who plays it. I'm one of the reasons why this tank maintains a 59% win rate every single month. It's not like I'm investing hundreds of match in my E50 every single week. No, I put in like 12 games, 15 matches in my E50 occasionally, just because it's one of the tier 9s I keep, because it's such a balanced tank to play with friends whenever they're grinding out a tier 9. So I keep it. Now, I know this video is going on for quite a minute, and for everyone who, stuck around to the end, thank you. Seriously, everyone that's been on my channel for a while, you guys have no idea how awesome it is, and probably the reason why I'll continue to be making console content to begin with, because I just don't have a reason to do anything else. I've tried streaming other games. Problem is, I'm not as talkative, I go dead silent, and it's just like, yeah, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. But World of Tanks, dude, the more they do, the different buffs that they do, it's just pain. I'm talking about my hand. This hurts. But nah, there's a lot of things that could be done different, and hopefully they will be fixed. I'll be sending in my feedback about this, but as of recent, my feedback apparently just goes over their head. The only feedback that I sent that actually got fixed was the Sinlac, and that's because 8,000 DPM. Of course they're gonna fix that. I'm playing on a custom controller where my reload is a single tap, okay? I don't have to take my thumb off my aiming reticle, like off my... Yeah, I tap A with my ring finger, okay? It's super simple for me to get that damage output. No problem. But, dude, why is it that whenever it's something absolutely game-breaking, they don't hesitate to go, oh, fix, now. But whenever it's something that it just makes it to where there's nothing really balanced, they're all like, I wonder if we should do it this way. You know, I'm, not, again, not trying to be mean wargaming at all. Your guys' liaison is an absolutely outstanding person. But your team, Pain God and all the rest, you guys kind of suck whenever it comes down to balancing. Don't get me wrong, we learn by making mistakes, but you've made a lot of mistakes. A lot of them. And it's just really stupid. Because they're easy to fix. Go back, admit that you made a mistake. Don't be like me and have this ego where you're like, I'm not wrong, I'm doing it this way and it's going to be done this way. But just take a break, take a breather, and fix it. You guys buffed, what was it, 71 tanks? And there are so many buffs on that list that I disagree with that it's not even funny. I'm monologuing by this point. I'm going to save this for later. By the way, you guys, more than likely, there will be a monthly stream. I have mentioned this before as a couple. We'll get content creators. Me, Slapafish will be hosting it. We came up with a name. Let me know if you like it. It's going to be Scrap Metal News. Just because, you know, scrap metal, World of Tanks. Everything's scrapped by the time it's the end of the match. So, till next time, thanks for, you know, kicking it, jumping in, watching, whatever. I'm a little bit irritated at the fact that they did this, just because nothing's going to change with the tank. The E50 is the only one they got a buff, and it's a gun buff. It doesn't matter if you buff the armor. The fact is, you're still getting shot at by heat round because you made damage standing 100%, and the only thing that people are shooting in tier 10 and tier 9 right now is what? Premium. So, till next time, you guys have a fantastic day, night, whatever time it is. Leave feedback down in the comment section. If you guys think I'm getting toxic about this, please let me know, and I'll try my best to not be. But whenever it just comes down to stupid things, pretty sure everyone agrees we can get angry about it. We're human after all. We all make mistakes. But wargaming, it's almost like they're handing down the totem of mistakes saying, hey, it's you up next. Nope, hand it to him. Hold on, let me flip around. That guy. You know? Just... They're not thinking about it. And I'm really hoping they do. If anything, ranked gameplay, I would love to see ranked gameplay 15 versus 15. By that point, that's whenever you start balancing out tanks, because that means you see what's being used the most. For instance, tier 6, it was the Absolution. Yeah, you know what, you guys, I gotta cut it. I will monologue for hours on this right now. I am irritated about this. Till next time, I gotta go.